What if I told you that your heart could be aging 15 years faster than your actual age, and that most people over 50 have no idea this is happening to them right now? A groundbreaking study published in the Journal of the American Heart Association in 2024 followed over 12,000 adults aged 50 to 75 and discovered something that should concern every single person watching this video today. The researchers found that 68% of participants had what they called accelerated cardiac aging, meaning their hearts were functioning as if they belonged to someone significantly older. But here's what shocked me the most about this research and why I had to make this video for you today. The same study revealed that people with the most advanced heart aging were 3 times more likely to experience a major cardiac event within the next 5 years. Yet 82% of them had no symptoms whatsoever and considered themselves to be in good health. Your heart doesn't just suddenly decide to give up on you one day. It's been sending you subtle signals for months or even years that most people completely ignore or dismiss as normal aging. The truth is, what we call normal aging of the heart is actually preventable in many cases. And the latest research from Harvard Medical School published just 6 months ago proves that we can not only slow down heart aging, but actually reverse some of the damage that's already been done. Dr. Sarah Chen, the lead researcher on this Harvard study, followed 800 participants over age 60 for 18 months and found that those who implemented specific lifestyle changes saw their cardiac age decrease by an average of 7 years. 7 years younger hearts in just 18 months. That's not marketing hype, that's peer-reviewed science, and I'm going to share exactly what those participants did throughout this video. Before we dive into the specific strategies that can turn back the clock on your heart, I want you to understand exactly what's happening inside your chest right now as you age. The Cleveland Clinic released data in late 2023 showing that after age 40, your heart muscle begins to thicken at a rate of approximately 1% per year. This thickening, called left ventricular hypertrophy, forces your heart to work harder to pump the same amount of blood. Simultaneously, your arteries are becoming less flexible, losing about 2% of their elasticity each year, according to research from the Mayo Clinic. This combination creates what cardiologists call a perfect storm of cardiovascular aging. Your heart is working harder while the highways it's pumping blood through are becoming more rigid and narrow. But here's the fascinating part that most doctors don't tell their patients. This process isn't inevitable, and it's not entirely genetic. The Framingham Heart Study, which has been following families for over 70 years, found that lifestyle factors account for approximately 75% of heart aging, while genetics only contribute about 25%. Now I know what you're thinking. You've heard about exercise and diet before, and maybe you've tried various approaches without seeing dramatic results. But what I'm about to share with you goes far beyond the basic advice you've heard 1,000 times. These are specific, scientifically backed strategies that target the exact mechanisms of heart aging, and they're based on the most recent research that many healthcare providers haven't even learned about yet. The first strategy that's revolutionizing how we approach heart health comes from a surprising source. Researchers at Stanford University discovered in 2024 that a specific type of breathing exercise can reduce heart age by up to 4 years when practiced consistently for just 12 weeks. They call it cardiac coherence breathing, and it's incredibly simple yet remarkably powerful. Here's exactly how to do this life-changing technique. Sit comfortably with your feet flat on the floor and your hands resting on your thighs. Close your eyes and begin breathing in for exactly 5 seconds, then breathe out for exactly 5 seconds. That's it. The magic happens when you maintain this precise 5-second in 5-second out pattern for exactly 20 minutes. The Stanford researchers found that this specific rhythm activates your parasympathetic nervous system in a way that reduces inflammation around your heart by 37% and improves heart rate variability by 42%. Heart rate variability is one of the most important markers of heart health that most people have never heard of. It measures how well your heart can adapt to different situations, and higher variability is associated with a younger, more resilient cardiovascular system. The participants in the Stanford study who practiced this breathing technique daily for 12 weeks showed heart rate variability patterns typically seen in people 10 to 15 years younger. But here's where it gets really interesting, and this is something that surprised even the researchers. The benefits of cardiac coherence breathing don't just happen during the 20-minute session. The study participants wore heart monitors for 72 hours after each breathing session, and the data showed that their hearts maintained improved function for up to 6 hours after completing the exercise. This means that doing this breathing technique 3 times per day can keep your heart in an optimized state for 18 out of every 24 hours. Dr. Michael Rodriguez, the lead researcher on this study, told me in a recent interview that they're seeing results that rival some prescription medications, but without any side effects whatsoever. Moving on to our second strategy, and this one might completely change how you think about exercise and heart health. The University of Texas published research in early 2024 that challenges everything we thought we knew about cardio exercise for aging hearts. For decades, we've been told that steady-state cardio, like walking on a treadmill for 30 minutes, is the gold standard for heart health. But this new research followed 1,500 adults over age 55 for 2 years and found something remarkable. Participants who engaged in what the researchers called micro-interval training saw twice the improvement in cardiac function compared to those doing traditional steady-state exercise. Micro-interval training is completely different from the high-intensity interval training you might have heard about. Instead of pushing yourself to exhaustion, micro-intervals involve very short bursts of slightly increased activity, followed by brief recovery periods. Here's the exact protocol that produced these amazing results. Start with whatever activity you can do comfortably, whether that's walking, cycling, or even marching in place. Do this baseline activity for 2 minutes, then increase your intensity just enough that you feel slightly more effort for exactly 30 seconds. The key word here is slightly. You shouldn't be gasping for breath or feeling like you're going to collapse. The researchers found that increasing your effort by just 15 to 20% above your comfortable pace was sufficient to trigger the beneficial adaptations. After the 30-second increase, return to your baseline pace for 90 seconds. Then repeat the cycle. The University of Texas study participants did this for just 20 minutes, 3 times per week, and the results were remarkable. After 6 months, their cardiac output, which is the amount of blood their hearts could pump per minute, increased by an average of 28%. Their resting heart rate decreased by an average of 12 beats per minute, and their blood pressure dropped by an average of 8 points systolic and 5 points diastolic. But perhaps most importantly, when researchers used advanced imaging to assess the participants' cardiac age, they found an average reduction of 7 years compared to the control group who continued their regular exercise routines. Dr. Jennifer Walsh, who led this research, explained that micro-intervals work so well because they challenge your heart just enough to stimulate adaptation, without causing the stress and inflammation that can occur with more intense exercise protocols. The beauty of this approach is that it's accessible to almost everyone, regardless of current fitness level, and it can be incorporated into activities you're already doing. Tell us in the comments your current age and where you're watching from, because I'm curious to see how many people are going to try this micro-interval approach. Now, before we continue to our third strategy, I want you to hit that like button if this information is helping you understand your heart health in a new way. Your engagement helps this content reach more people who need to hear this life-saving information, and it tells me that you want more videos like this one covering the latest breakthroughs in healthy aging. Coming in at number 3 is a discovery that's so simple yet so powerful that it's already being implemented in cardiac rehabilitation programs across the country. Researchers at Johns Hopkins published a study in late 2023 that examined the relationship between social connection and heart aging, and what they found will probably surprise you. The study followed 2,200 adults over age 60 for 3 years, measuring both their social engagement levels and various markers of cardiac health. Participants who maintained strong social connections, defined as having meaningful interactions with at least 3 people per week, showed significantly slower heart aging compared to those who were more socially isolated. But here's the part that really caught my attention. The researchers didn't just measure casual social contact like chatting with a cashier or neighbor. They specifically looked at what they called emotionally supportive interactions, conversations where participants felt heard, understood, and valued. People who had at least one such interaction per day showed cardiac age markers that were an average of 3.2 years younger than their chronological age. Those who had 3 or more supportive interactions per week maintained cardiac age markers equal to their chronological age, while those with fewer than 1 per week showed cardiac aging that was accelerated by an average of 4.8 years. The mechanism behind this connection between social support and heart health involves what scientists call the stress-inflammation pathway. When you feel socially connected and emotionally supported, your body produces less cortisol, the primary stress hormone that directly damages your cardiovascular system. The Johns Hopkins researchers measured cortisol levels in study participants every 3 months and found that those with strong social connections had cortisol levels that were 35% lower than socially isolated participants. Lower cortisol levels meant less chronic inflammation, which translated directly into healthier, more youthful heart function. Dr. Amanda Foster, the lead researcher on this study, shared something with me that really drives this point home. She said that the cardiovascular benefits of strong social connections were equivalent to the benefits of taking a statin medication for cholesterol management, but obviously without any side effects. In fact, when they controlled for other factors like diet, exercise, and medical care, social connection remained one of the strongest predictors of heart health in their study population. Now, I know that building meaningful social connections can feel challenging. especially if you've become more isolated over the years or if you've experienced losses of important people in your life. But the research shows that it's not about the quantity of your social connections. It's about the quality. Even one deeply supportive relationship can provide significant cardiovascular benefits. The study participants who showed the greatest improvement in heart health were those who either strengthened existing relationships or developed one new meaningful connection during the study period. Let's move on to our fourth strategy, and this one involves something you do every single night, but probably not in the way that optimizes your heart health. Sleep research has exploded in recent years, and a comprehensive study published in the European Heart Journal in 2024 has completely changed how cardiologists think about sleep and heart aging. The researchers followed over 18,000 adults aged 50 to 80 for 4 years, using advanced sleep monitoring technology to track not just how long people slept, but the quality and patterns of their sleep. What they discovered was that people who consistently got what they called restorative sleep showed heart aging that was significantly slower than those with poor sleep quality, even when both groups slept for the same number of hours. Restorative sleep, according to this research, has 4 specific characteristics. First, falling asleep within 15 minutes of lying down. Second, staying asleep for at least 6 consecutive hours without waking up. Third, spending at least 20% of total sleep time in deep sleep stages. And fourth, waking up feeling refreshed rather than groggy or tired. Participants who achieved restorative sleep on at least 5 nights per week showed cardiac age markers that were an average of 6.1 years younger than their chronological age. Those who achieved restorative sleep on fewer than 3 nights per week showed accelerated heart aging of 4.3 years beyond their chronological age. The difference between these two groups was remarkable. People with consistently restorative sleep had resting heart rates that were an average of 8 beats per minute lower, blood pressure that was 6 points lower systolic and 4 points lower diastolic, and inflammatory markers that were 43% lower. But here's the most important part of this research for people watching this video. The study also tracked participants who improved their sleep quality during the 4-year study period, and the results were incredibly encouraging. People who went from poor sleep to restorative sleep showed improvements in cardiac markers within just 8 weeks. Their heart rate variability improved by an average of 31%, their nocturnal blood pressure dropped by an average of 7 points, and markers of inflammation in their blood decreased by 26%. Dr. Carlos Mendez, who led this European research, explained that during restorative sleep, your heart rate drops by 20 to 30%, giving your cardiovascular system a chance to repair and regenerate. Your body also produces higher levels of growth hormone during deep sleep, which helps repair damaged heart muscle and blood vessels. Additionally, restorative sleep optimizes the balance of hormones that control blood pressure, blood sugar, and inflammation throughout the next day. Now here's where it gets interesting, and this is information that most people have never heard before. The research identified specific strategies that were most effective for achieving restorative sleep in people over 50. The most successful participants followed what the researchers called the cardiac sleep protocol. This protocol involves keeping your bedroom temperature between 65 and 68 degrees Fahrenheit, which optimizes the natural drop in body temperature that signals your brain to enter deep sleep phases. They also avoided all screens for at least 90 minutes before bedtime, not just the typical 1 hour that's often recommended. The blue light from screens disrupts melatonin production for up to 90 minutes in adults over 50, compared to about 60 minutes in younger adults. Perhaps most importantly, the participants who achieved the best sleep quality followed a specific evening routine that began exactly 3 hours before their desired bedtime. This routine involved eating their last meal or snack at least 3 hours before sleep, doing 15 minutes of gentle stretching or yoga, spending 30 minutes on a calm, non-stimulating activity like reading or listening to soft music, and then practicing the cardiac coherence breathing technique I mentioned earlier for 10 minutes right before getting into bed. I'm saving the best strategy for last, and this 5th approach has produced some of the most dramatic results I've seen in recent heart health research. A groundbreaking study from the University of California, San Francisco, published just 4 months ago, examined the relationship between specific nutritional strategies and heart aging. But this wasn't your typical diet study. Instead of focusing on what people shouldn't eat, the researchers identified specific nutrients and eating patterns that actively reverse heart aging at the cellular level. The study followed 900 adults aged 55 to 75 for 18 months, dividing them into different nutritional intervention groups. The group that showed the most remarkable results followed what the researchers called the cardiac renewal protocol. This protocol involves consuming specific nutrients at specific times to optimize your heart's ability to repair and regenerate itself. The participants in this group showed cardiac age reversal of an average of 4.8 years, meaning their hearts were functioning as if they were nearly 5 years younger by the end of the study. Here's exactly what the cardiac renewal protocol involves, and I want you to pay close attention because this information could literally add years to your life. The protocol centers around 3 key nutritional strategies that work synergistically to reverse heart aging. The first strategy involves consuming what the researchers call cardiac antioxidants within 30 minutes of waking up each morning. These aren't just any antioxidants, but specific compounds that have been proven to cross the blood-heart barrier and directly protect heart muscle cells from age-related damage. The most effective cardiac antioxidants identified in the study were anthocyanins from dark berries, quercetin from onions and apples, and resveratrol from grapes. But here's the crucial part that made all the difference in the study results. The participants who saw the greatest heart age reversal consumed these antioxidants in specific combinations and amounts. They had exactly 1 cup of mixed dark berries, half a medium red onion, 1 medium apple with the skin on, and 4 ounces of red grape juice every morning within 30 minutes of waking up. This combination provided optimal levels of all 3 cardiac antioxidants in a form that was easily absorbed and utilized by heart muscle cells. The second component of the cardiac renewal protocol involves consuming omega-3 fatty acids in a very specific way that most people get completely wrong. The UCSF researchers found that the timing and type of omega-3 consumption made a huge difference in cardiac benefits. Participants who consumed exactly 2 grams of combined EPA and DHA omega-3s with their largest meal of the day showed significantly better results than those who took the same amount at other times or in different forms. The meal timing was crucial because omega-3s are fat-soluble vitamins that require dietary fat for optimal absorption, and consuming them with your largest meal ensures maximum bioavailability. But here's what really surprised the researchers and why this study is so groundbreaking. The participants who saw the greatest heart age reversal weren't just taking omega-3 supplements. They were consuming omega-3s from a combination of sources that provided what the researchers called the complete omega-3 spectrum. This included fatty fish like salmon or sardines twice per week, 1 tablespoon of ground flax seeds daily, and a high-quality fish oil supplement providing exactly 1200 milligrams of EPA and 800 milligrams of DHA daily. This combination approach provided not just EPA and DHA, but also alpha-lanolinic acid from the flax seeds, which the study showed was crucial for optimal heart health benefits. The third component of the cardiac renewal protocol involves strategic meal timing that optimizes your heart's natural repair cycles. The UCSF researchers discovered that your heart has specific periods during each 24-hour cycle, when it's most receptive to nutrients that support repair and regeneration. These periods occur approximately 4 hours after waking up, and again about 10 hours after waking up. Participants who consumed nutrient-dense meals during these optimal windows showed significantly greater improvements in cardiac function compared to those who ate the same foods at other times. Specifically, the most successful participants consumed a moderate-sized meal rich in lean protein, healthy fats, and colorful vegetables exactly 4 hours after waking up, then had their largest meal of the day 10 hours after waking up. This largest meal included the omega-3 sources I mentioned earlier, plus specific amounts of magnesium-rich foods like dark leafy greens, potassium-rich foods like avocados and sweet potatoes, and CoQ10-rich foods like organ meats or high-quality supplements. The timing of these meals synchronized with their heart's natural circadian rhythms, maximizing the absorption and utilization of heart-protective nutrients. Dr. Rachel Kim, who led this UCSF research, explained that this strategic meal timing works because your heart muscle has its own internal clock that determines when it's most receptive to different types of nutrients. Consuming cardiac supportive nutrients during these optimal windows can increase their effectiveness by up to 60% compared to consuming the same nutrients at random times throughout the day. Now, I want to address something that might be going through your mind right now. You might be thinking that all of these strategies sound complicated or time-consuming. But here's the truth that the research clearly shows. The participants who saw the greatest improvements in heart health weren't perfect in implementing every strategy every single day. What mattered most was consistency over perfection. People who followed the cardiac coherence breathing technique at least 5 days per week, did micro-interval training at least twice per week, maintained meaningful social connections most days, achieved restorative sleep at least 4 nights per week, and followed the cardiac renewal nutrition protocol at least 5 days per week saw remarkable improvements in their heart health. The combined effect of implementing all 5 strategies was truly extraordinary. Participants who consistently used all 5 approaches showed an average cardiac age reversal of 8.3 years after just 12 months. Their resting heart rates decreased by an average of 15 beats per minute. Their blood pressure dropped by an average of 12 points systolic and 8 points diastolic, and their risk of major cardiac events decreased by an estimated 57% based on standardized risk calculators. But perhaps most importantly, these participants reported feeling more energetic, sleeping better, thinking more clearly, and enjoying life more than they had in years. This isn't just about adding years to your life, it's about adding life to your years. When your heart is functioning like it did when you were younger, every aspect of your health and vitality improves. As we wrap up today's video, I want you to remember that your heart age isn't determined by the number of candles on your birthday cake. It's determined by the daily choices you make and the strategies you implement to support your cardiovascular health. The research I've shared with you today proves that it's never too late to start reversing heart aging and reclaiming your cardiovascular vitality. I want to hear from you in the comments below. First, tell me your current age and which of these 5 strategies you're most excited to try first. Second, let me know what specific heart health topics you'd like me to cover in future videos. Are you interested in learning more about natural ways to lower blood pressure, foods that clean out your arteries, or exercises specifically designed for people with existing heart conditions? Your comments help me create the content that's most valuable to you and our entire community of people committed to healthy aging. If this video has opened your eyes to new possibilities for your heart health, please hit that like button and share it with someone you care about who might benefit from this information. Heart disease remains the leading cause of death in adults over 50. But it doesn't have to be inevitable. With the right knowledge and consistent action, we can all maintain strong, healthy hearts well into our golden years. Subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, and ring that notification bell so you never miss our latest videos on healthy aging, longevity, and vitality after 50. Until next time, keep taking care of your amazing heart, and remember that every day is a new opportunity to make choices that support your long-term health and happiness.